Hello and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Sunday, April 25th, 2021, and today's topic is called Sky Stumpers. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening April 20th through the 21st, 2021. And before we get into those observations, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, kedu, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobrого dnia, annyeonghaseyo, botarji, dobry den, aloha winala, kalimera, and hudendag. And today's starter image is of a male cardinal sitting here in a Lysiloma tree in Miami, Florida. All right, so let's get into the show, and before we do, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to all of you for being here today and tuning in. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much. If you are new, keep in mind I'm going to be talking about things going forward as either original photos, that's self-explanatory, or enhanced photos. And enhanced simply means I've edited attributes of the photo, such as brightness, contrast, color, saturation, things of that nature, just to highlight and draw out areas of interest within any given photo. And I also sometimes drop in letters just to help keep the focus and just kind of flag or highlight the most prominent areas of any given photo. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening in some of these, and it's going to be more than what I can get to just to keep the running time as tight as possible on these shows. So if I've left something out and you really want to see it enhanced and have me talk about it, just let me know in the comment section below and I'll be happy to do that for the next show. Now also, strange cloud activity in quotes means the cloud part just means there's suspected cloaking craft going on in these photos. And when I say cloaking craft, I am referring to something that is either human-made, kind of a military make, or something that is extraterrestrial made, ET, whether basic or advanced technology used there, or a collaboration between the two. Now it also means cloaking implies cloaking material. I refer to that as plasma. That's my go-to. It's just something that's denser than just regular water vapor of a cloud that sticks around in the atmosphere longer. That's what I'm going to call it. And when I say craft, it means something that's 3D, very tactile. You can knock on it and touch it. Or it's going to be something interdimensional and something more kind of ethereal and ephemeral-like and ghost phantom-like. Or it could be something 3D that's in the middle of phasing in and out of state. So there's a lot going on, so let's just get into it. I'm going to try to fly through this show a little quicker than normal, so I have extra letters dropped in for you to maybe take a look on your own time when you have a little more time at some of these areas of interest. So for right now, we're going to look at the left-hand side's the original. We'll just hop over to the right to see the enhanced version right away, straight out the gate. So we've got 8.1. What I see here is a triangle. This looks symmetrical to me down on this, what I'm going to assume is the back end. We've got a bar and then these like two legs, forming the triangle, almost like a letter A. And then B.1, got another triangular object with a little weird object floating in front of it. Just this whole scene is just all kinds of strange. And as I say in other shows, when we get this backlighting situation, we start to see shapes and things pop out pretty clearly. We also have a strange thing happening over here. Anyway, let's get into it further and see what's going on. So I've zoomed in a little bit further. So again, 8.2, that object that we have, we see this back end here. If you follow my cursor, we can just still see that's kind of holding its form. And then B2, that's a triangular shape with things floating in front of it. Also strange little objects and shapes going on all over the place here. D.2 looks like something is in the middle of, hiding a cloak, like diving into it here. C.2, there's a triangular shape here too. There's just all kinds of things going on in that scene. Then we look over at the left here, is the original photo. Again, we'll just jump over to the right. Again, this is a sun towards sunset. We're looking northwest. And just look how dark and black some of these objects are. This has a point to it, so this is clearly a triangle. Look at this sharp edge here and here. And then 8.1, there's some other kind of object popping up in here as well. And then look at B.1. That's an object of a different kind. It's reflecting. It's got some shadow to it. So I'm going to say that's cloak and craft. This is as well. I think this is all one cloak and craft hiding in here. And this to me is like a borderline interdimensional, something kind of, or some really weird cloak on it. It even looks like there's kind of like a pipe sticking out here, some type of stick piece. Anyway, let's move along. Here, this is just an overall scene. The letter A caught my attention. Look how dark these bands are. And it started to have a form, very clear form and shape to it. So does E. So we're going to take a look at this with enhancement. Here it looks like a darker object here with some cloaking material wafting over it. And then look at 8.1. This looks like a solid triangle with cloaking material coming over it and objects springing off. Like this looks like it's coming a little off toward us on angle to the camera. And just look at these, overall clear forms. So also here at D.1, just take a look, C.12, there's also some like oblong, ellipsoidal, or spherical shapes. See what you think is happening in this scene, but I definitely see cloak and craft going on in here. Okay, here's another view. This one's looking north-northwest. We're going to look at some of these elements in the enhanced version. And this looks like something interdimensional happening in here. This kind of wider, kind of almost like a thumbprint on the front overlaying whatever's going on here, if you will. But look at this overall shape. It's arcing this way, kind of like a pointed ellipse. This has little strange bands forming, doing some weird things with something happening in here at C.1. There starts to be like a notch out here. We're going to look at this whole area with even more enhancement. Different object here with a different color signature. Look at that coming in. So let's have a look, and then something odd happening here where these bright white points are. So we're going to look at that, some of that brighter white kind of tufted activity in the heart of that other previous scene. And here that kind of looks like triangular in form. It looks like it has a trail behind it, almost like it zoomed out from that point to here. Then we have also just really strange kind of chaotic activity disturbance in this atmosphere. And then look at here at F.1, we even have like almost like a semicircle, like a little tunnel effect on some kind of object here, I'm going to call it. So I'm calling this overall thing a cloak and craft with multiple pieces and parts popping out. See what you think though. Okay, now we're going to look at west. Again, strange cloud activity at sunset. We're going to look at these areas of interest. They get real interesting. So get ready. Here's the enhanced version, and here we go. This looks like a letter, a lowercase n or a u or a backwards c. Yeah, it's a very clear form at 8.1. And then B, just this overall thing looks like it has a darker object happening in here with some plasma or, cloaking material coming up the front. Something is going on down this way with this motion, and along this way, look at, we have a very straight line as well with all this disturbance happening behind it. So I'm going to venture to say that something is popping up out of this mass, with a very long tubular form to it. This almost takes on, triangular shape back there as well, the more I look at it. And then we're going to look at D, because we've got a white point popping out here, also some crystalline structure, pure white crystalline structure popping out. There's a darker object beyond here, and again, look at the color signatures. They all vary. So let's take a look at it with some more enhancement. We're going to go in on that really white crystalline stuff. Look at it. And we're going to take it a little bit further, and then you really see it popping out. So as I say in other shows, when I see bright white points like this, where my cursor is, and crystalline forms popping up, when everything else has a color, whether it's color or just gray, as the background behind it, it usually means there is something of interest going on in there and related to a cloak and craft, if not some type of cloaking entity itself. So here we have shadows of things happening back in this cloud area that could be cloak and craft. This actually looks like one big downturned triangular form. We have forms happening off in here too that look like, or even this overall thing might be a cloak and craft. And then look at, we have these sharp angles, these two lines that are parallel, actually multiple lines going off parallel. What is going on? There's so much going on in this scene. Let's look a little bit further though at that D element, and there we go. We just see this real crystalline structure happening. Look, this starts even to look like real structure with some type of in section, like a squared, kind of form popping up out of here, and then there's something going on in here too. So I'll leave this to you to take a look at when you have more time. There are other little structural pieces popping out all over the place. See what you think is happening in the scene. Then we're going to look one more time at this element. I know it's a little bitmappy if you have this up on a bigger screen, but look at this. We have like a perfect shape here of the edge of a rectangular tab or something. Something is definitely going on in here. This is like a dome-like shape, and then we have a point here with some plasma or cloaking material kind of wafting over, drifting over this thing. I have a feeling that this is structure coming to a point. So whether it's a craft or some type of tech and material, machinery, I have no idea. See what you think. But I will say it's some kind of tech up there. Now A, I'm just looking, everything seemed to be disturbed and a little chaotic in general. Start to see, I didn't actually label it, but I see a triangle imprint here. Imprint means There's like tufted plasma material kind of forming the outer edges of whatever this is. So it could be a solid object, a cloaking craft there, or it could have been a craft that came and went, or it could be a portal or opening. I'm not sure. See what you think. This is just the moon right here. And then A, we have something else going on. So we're going to jump over to the enhanced version where my cursor is. You see that triangular form very clearly now. There's the moon again. And then 8.1, I was just flagging because there's so much darkness happening in here. Looks like this could be like a fanned out back end of a triangle, or something else is happening in there. But just look how choppy everything is. When I say, I'm going to refer to this as staccato cloud, meaning it's all choppy and fuzzy, even to the naked eye. That means something is up there creating this disturbance, whether it's electromagnetic wave activity that's doing this locally in the atmosphere, or some other kind of wave activity created by something else. I'm not sure. You take a look and see what you think on that. All right, here's another just overall bizarre scene looking west at sunset. We've got this motion coming in. We've got these two things parallel that are strange objects in and of themselves. We've got a downward motion coming down here, pretty stark. And then we have stuff down here. Look at this thing. It's like waving through, and then we've got this kind of fuzzy chaotic stuff happening. All kinds of strange. That's a clear triangular form. This just seems, it's just screaming chaos. So let's see what's going on with some enhancement. And look, we get a better view. So 8.1, we kind of have like a pointed ellipse. I'm calling that a cloaking craft in this too. B.1, we have a flat, like oblique triangle happening over here with cloaking material happening in front of it. Here's more of an equilateral triangle happening here. It even looks like a little tubular element coming off of it. Then we have other stuff hiding back in here. Looks also like another like stick-like or tubular form popping off. Something here too. Looks like a structural element poking out of that cloaking material. Then look at D.1. Look at that. That is a cloaking craft of some type. That's a triangular form. And there's another one right down below it. So something else is moving down beyond here. You know, is this a ring and part of one bigger, you know, object cloaking here too as well? Hard to say. See what you think. I even almost see like a round form here popping off the below or on top of this triangular form too. Anyway, tons of activity happening there. Now we're going to kind of back out and look at the overall scene again, just because it's very intriguing. So much movement and motion in here. And now we see, look at A and B. So we see this white color. Again, it's much more white than everything else around here. So we're going to take a look at that with some enhancement. This too looks like an object with cloaking material wafting in front. And then look at, we've got this weird movement here. We've got like a circular form down here. So let's jump over to the right hand side. So look at B.1. It's definitely its own animal. It looks like something interdimensional to me. There might be something passing in front of it as well that has more of a mass to it. But look at 8.1. You know, this object, it's clearly an object with some cloaking material around it. This also looks like something is coming or going interdimensionally. Then we have this triangular form back here with something coming straight across in front of it. And again, just look at this a little bit more in your own time. There's so much happening. Really puzzling, hence the title of the show, Stumpers. All right, so we're going to go back in. Actually, I'm going to pop back over here. So look at A.1, where my cursor is. Now we're going to zoom in and take a look at it again, you know, without the enhancement on the left and then with enhancement to the right. And look at this thing. It's a clear object with some cloaking material wafting in front of it. And something that looks like cloaking beyond, you know, with a very clear point and edge to it. Anyway, it looks like it's, you know, moving up this way. Now we'll look at the other whiter element that was up in the upper right-hand corner of the photo, and here we are at B.2. Look at this thing. It's got this weird curve happening within it. So we look to the right at some enhancement. I can't get at too much more, but you just know that is a strange, looks like a cloaking object. See what you think is going on. Then we're going to look at the scene just one more time because it's just so bizarre, and we're going to look at an overall view. So right away I see back here it looks like an imprint of something triangular in the back. Here's that interdimensional thing at letter A. B, look at this thing. We've got this thing streaking across with a different consistency of whatever that is, water vapor or God knows what, maybe plasma. Then we've got C, you know, looks like a darker shape, you know, happening too. So let's take a look again with enhancement, and here we go. Look at 8.1, I thought was interdimensional, but actually that might just be the cloaking technique happening over this more solid looking object. Look at that's very clear. And then we have other things cloaking beyond here that we can't quite get to what that is. Something, you know, with a clear shape here. Looks like it's cloaking as well. Anyway, have fun looking at this. Oh, B.12 looks like there's something hiding back here. It's a little fuzzy. See what else you can find. There's other things popping up like over here to the left and down here at B.2. Have fun taking a look. All right, here's panning a little more. It's west, but actually more northwest of that scene where we were just at. So we're just moving around to the right of it. And we're just going to look at other things happening. So we're going to look at this area A and some of these other areas too with enhancement. And here we go. Look at 8.1. Look at all this texture. It's like a little bumpy and rough texture. It looks like a pipe is sticking out here too with a hole at the end. D.1 looks like a shape of a cloaking craft. And I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, but there is something happening. And here too, where we have like this backward C or crescent. And there's just so much happening in here. But anyway, we'll take a little more closer look at C.1 because this gets really weird. You know, you can just see it's like got more clear edges to it, a little more crisp, while everything else is fuzzy. So let's have a look with even more enhancement. And here's that area that I was talking about that was crisp. I can't really get at it at too much more of what's going on, but it definitely looks like an overall darker shape is looming behind some cloaking material here in the front, plasma material. D.2, look at that. That's a curve. That's definitely an object with like cloaking material wafting out in front of it. And then A.2, it's on its own page. It's a pointed ellipse of some kind with very strange texture. See what you see that's going on in there. And we're going to look at this again. I guess I can't keep getting enough of this looking west because there's so many different types of things happening in here. But let's just go ahead and jump straight to the enhancement, if you see what I mean. Look at D.1. Look at this weird kind of egg shape or irregular ellipsoidal thing. Then we have a triangle happening behind it. We have a triangle happening over here at F.1, a strange object that looks like it's zooming over toward the left of the page at G.1. 8.1, we still have this strange, darker object behind all this cloaking staccato mess of, very disturbed atmosphere generated by some kind of electromagnetic or other wave activity, local on the spot in this area, I would say. And then here at C.1, there's a darker object happening behind all these different types of cloaking, devices or cloaking methods. See what you think is going on in there, It's just, there's a lot happening. Okay, and then we're going to look again. We've got some strange type of consistency coming in now, at A and A. At B, we're looking at the edge of an imprint, I believe. And then C, as we go down, just starts to get really weird in and of itself. So the sun is supposed to be going down here. Then we get this thing that looks really frayed. It looks like artificial cloud. Just really strange. So we're going to look at this with more enhancement. And here we just see B.1 again. We see the strong edge of something going on. This looks like a triangular imprint back here. And then look at the strange consistency of this mist-like stuff, whatever's happening there. We still have the strange chaotic stuff, whether that's interdimensional cloaking craft or solid with a weird kind of cloak on it, I'm not sure. Here's a little peak of a triangular form happening behind all of this chaos stuff. And then we're going to kind of focus now back again on what's going on with C.1. So we're going to enhance it in different ways to get at it eventually. Until we get there, we're just going to jump over here too to look at this imprint at letter A of a triangle. And then B, actually B we'll get to on the enhancement, but C has a very strong edge, so this is looking like a triangular element right here. So we're going to look at it with some enhancement, and again we kind of just see that really darker area of an imprint. And I think B was referring to the stuff happening over here too, imprint-wise. And C, again, it's all this choppy kind of staccato stuff as cloak for whatever this triangular form is. And then we're going to hop back down to this area at E, was where I said there was all that artificial stuff happening at that sunset itself. And so we're going to look at areas D and E on that. So there definitely looks like structure wants to pop up down here. And we're going to kind of look at it with some different enhancements to see if we can get at anything better. D.1, it does look like something crystalline, little points popping out, so I'm definitely going to say something's cloaking back in here. E.1, we get to the heart of where that sun was going down and that frayed material, artificial cloud material coming over. And look at, we see some circular elements. These almost look like, and they're parallel to each other, they look like tubes or pipes. And then there looks to be a very strong triangular form here. Other pipes, there's something on the side here. Just very odd. So we're going to look at it again now with a little more enhancement, going darker, just to try to get at other things that are floating in this area. We get this. This is a triangular shadow, the base of a triangle. Then we get these very distinct forms flying around in here. So I think there's some type of craft right in here with where those pipes were sticking out. And these are little craft or sensor things coming and going. Definitely some kind of tech with intelligent design and symmetry to these shapes. Then we're going to zoom in even closer with some more radical enhancement on it, just to, I really blew some of the properties out just to see what we've got. And look at this, looks like the end of a tube and another end of the tube right above it. And, you know, the tube seems to be going down that way. And then we've got, again, we see these shapes with some disturbed kind of cloaking material around them. See that a little bit better, like that little dart shape heading down. Triangular form here, pretty pure symmetrical triangle. Again, that says there's intelligent design of some type going on in here. Then we have the base of that triangle here up at D.3. Looks like something's emerging over here as well. Have fun looking at this a little bit more in your own time. Now here we are. Here was that frayed artificial material. We were just looking at this area C. And we're going to dive back in again and take another fresh look at a slightly different way. So here's that artificial frayed kind of stuff. That doesn't look like any normal cloud. Neither really does any of all of this. This is sweeping up on angle. This is all chaotic. You know, nothing about this says regular cloud activity. So we're going to look at the C area a little bit more. We're going to go into CC. And there's something happening here. So at B, it looks like, look at that. That's like something poking out of this darker, denser artificial cloud material. And then CC, also there's a darker object here floating in beyond. And D, we're going to take a look too with enhancement on what's going on in this scene. So D.1, there's a triangular form right there. C, we have an overall form. Looks like it's, again, coming out of this, whatever this artificial frayed cloud mess was. And then B, again, you see that thing poking out, that's solid, poking out of this artificial stuff. And then CC.1 gets really interesting. We're going to enhance it in a different way. I changed the numbers, sorry about that if it's confusing. But we're just zooming in on that one particular object now. So now we have A, we have a sharp edge. B, there's some weird little, you know, fold over of like metal with a little weird thing popping up out of it. And then C is going to become another little pointed elliptical object. And this down here too at D. So let's look at this with more enhancement. Here we go. Look at B.1. Look at how neat that and precise that is. It has shadow and has like this little piece popping out at the end. What is going on? I mean, this is definitely a machine part of some type. C.1, here's that pointed ellipse floating in the front, or it's a piece curled over from whatever this overall thing is. This line is so straight, that screams machinery, okay? And so anyway, I'm saying this overall thing is a cloaking craft. It either has many levels and parts to it, or this is some other extension, and this is something floating in front. But see what you think is happening here. Some of this stuff is too precise just to be haphazard cloud. It's very fascinating. We're going to zoom in one more time. Look at this. This little piece just folds right over. You've got shadow. You've got this little weird piece popping up off of the edge, like a nozzle or something with a hole at the end of it. And then we've got where it's purple is cloaking material over something more solid. And again, this is like hovering either in the foreground. Oops, sorry. Oh, it jumped ahead by mistake. It's hovering in the foreground where it's a part of this piece, you know, curled up. But look at this. We've got an obtuse angle. Bam. Sharp edge running down here. That's definitely some kind of tech, some type of machinery, machine parts. Then we're going to zoom in one more time. So there's that little piece that I think is either hovering in front or curled over from whatever this mass is. And again, B.3, look at this. It's straight and moves down. Perfect curve, perfect piece sticking out here. And then D.3 is just one more look at what could be happening there too. All right, now we're going to move away from that overall scene that I kind of got hung up on for a while because it just was very intriguing. A lot happening there. But now we're going to look east at strange cloud activity at sunset. And look at this. We've got a swirling, kind of like a big wide curve happening. And then we have this little egg shape or like swirl whirlpool happening. And then another motion happening here. While we have totally different types of cloud or chaotic activity happening here, it's just really strange. So let's look with some enhancement. Here we just see that kind of that motion moving along like this, and then that little whirlpool or little egg-like activity, cyclone activity happening in there. Just very odd. Oh, and then over here at B.1, I'm flagging that because that's a pure triangle, equilateral triangle with some tufted material happening in front of it. So that's either a solid craft cloaking or it's an imprint of some type. Then we're going to get to this overall scene and look at this edge where my cursor's moving. It's pretty clear. And there's going to be a lot of different elements as you see the letters that I have tagged. So we have a little bit of another triangular element hiding behind there. Weird mist-like stuff happening over at C. D looks like something more solid's popping up behind it. So let's look at with some enhancement to see what's going on. Here we see that clear edge a little bit better. We see that triangle happening, that imprint behind here. There's something big and spherical like moving into the scene at 8.1. D.1, look at there's an imprint beyond here that's definitely a triangular form. And then there's something kind of curving with more shadow to it in the front. And in the back, there's even something underlaid that looks like a fat, like almond shape. And then we've got a triangular shape happening down here. This D.1 looks like an overall shape happening where my cursor is. There's just so much going on here. Again, I'm going to leave this one for you to look a little more on your own time. Then we're going to zoom in before I let you go on that. And actually, let me back up 1 second. We're going to look at, okay, C. So we're going to look at this element here where my cursor is. Let's go there to orient you. So here, that's C.2. So there's definitely a triangular shape. And this is actually the cover slide, by the way. And then D.2, here we have another triangular shape. The point here of another triangle. Definitely F2, there's something going on here. And then actually E2 gets very interesting. What is this shape? It has shadow to it. It has symmetrical form. Something else is like trailing off. And look at this, looks like a little tiny triangle with a little trail like it's moving in. Again, is that some kind of sensor? You know, what's going on? It's definitely something with intelligent design when it has symmetry and a pure form. Geometrical form especially. Now we're going to look to the south. And we're going to look at elements A, B, C, and D. This gets very interesting. So we have these little pieces moving in on this angle, whilst this is coming down on this angle, and we have a totally different texture happening down in here, with a darker shape looming in the background, wider pieces and of something popping up out in the foreground here, and something kind of spherical back here at D. So we're going to look at that with enhancement where you see it much better. Here we go, down at this angle, over at this angle. What's going on over here? This looks like it has a pure form and shape, symmetrical design popping up out of here. There's even a triangular form here. This is an overall pointed elliptical kind of form happening here, and that's something spherical. So is this overall thing, you know, a craft, you know, kind of just cloaking back in here, and these are little elements popping up out of it, or are these all individual parts and pieces? I'm not sure. But look at this. I mean, this is no natural cloud activity. So I think this is an overall cloak and craft that actually even extends up this way. But see what you think. Okay, this is very interesting. Nearby that scene is this going on. So look how pure that shape is. There is no way you get this pure triangular form and an imprint in front of it, echoing it, you know, in nature. So what's going on? And then at letter A, we have a triangular form appearing again. So let's look at that with enhancement, and bam, look at this. Look how pure and sharp that is. And then we've got something brewing in here as well. See what you think is happening in this overall scene. Then we're going to look at this other interesting character, A through D, and we'll just go ahead and jump to the right-hand side of the enhanced version. So we've got an imprint happening in here amidst all of this chaotic staccato cloud. And then at D.1, we have these 3 points forming a triangle. You know, it's kind of standing out from all the rest of the activity with this weird kind of like twisted piece coming down. You know, just all really strange. We're going to hop in a little bit more to look at this. This looks like this little element is popping up out of here, and it has like a stream of vapor behind it or plasma behind it. And again, what is going on in here? Why is it twisting and making this form? I'm not sure, but it looks like little pieces are popping up off of it while there's a darker imprint happening beyond. See what you think is going on in the scene. Then we've got this one is a panorama. Now actually, because of the way I took the panorama, it arced, it bowed the top. This was actually straight down like a triangular form, but you still get the gist. So the overall scene was just strange. Again, looking west, southwest this time. What is this? Look at the character of this. It's like almost like a coaxial cable. It reminds me of the structure of this. You know, just zooming off in that direction. Then we have a point here at B. We have an up-down-turn triangular form shadow here at A. There's just so much going on in this one as well, but let's go ahead and look directly with some enhancement. In this case, enhancement means I took out color, because sometimes the brain to eye connection sees things in a different way. You might be able to see things you didn't see before in the color version. That's why I do it occasionally. So again, 8.1, we see that downturned triangle with some stuff, you know, cloaking material happening in front of it. B.1 gets real weird because, again, it's a pure point and just jutting out from this thing. So I'm going to say that overall thing is artificial. This looks like a corner too of a triangular form. There's a triangular form over here too. Here's a rectangular imprint, another triangular form. There's just a lot going on in here. This actually might be part of a bigger object. You see the darker pattern here. That might be something cloaking as well. See what you think is happening, as always. We're going to zoom in one more time though. So 8.2, you see that darker piece is the triangular form downturn that I saw with all of this kind of cloaking material happening in front of it. And then I am not sure what's going on in this thing, this tubular thing that I said looks like kind of like a coaxial cable. It's got like structure to it. Look at these are like ribs. So see what you think is going on in there, and then something is cloaking beyond here. That one's all quite a big stumper at that. All right, now we're going to look at another weird stumper situation. Look at this, these three bands, you know, not like the others here. We've got a different chaotic pattern here of cloud, quote-unquote cloud activity in here as well. So A does not equal B does not equal C, yet it's all in the same proximity. So I'm saying that this little chunk is definitely cloak and craft. We're going to look at the enhanced version on the right-hand side, and these look like three individual, maybe interdimensional craft cloaking at C.1. And A and B are just to call out how distinctly different all of these different supposed cloud forms are. And we got this weird split between these two very different forms. So what is going on? Your guess is as good as mine, but do have a look around and see if you see anything else in these photos. Also, if you have any just fun ideas of what could be going on, feel free to put those down in the comment section below. Okay, this one gets real interesting. Now we're looking southeast. So we're going to look at elements A, B, and C on this photo. And this becomes a little story unfolding. So A, there's a darker imprint. It's subtle. Hopefully it comes out in the next photo, the enhanced version. But we start to see the edges of A. So I'm going to say maybe this is even, instead of just an imprint, maybe it's a portal where this thing came out of, and this darker shadow looming beyond, I think is definitely a cloaking craft. Excuse me one second. Okay, I'm back. So this is definitely some type of overall cloaking craft, and there's something with movement coming down through this way, almost like it's trying to hit this thing. So I'm putting together a little story that maybe these things kind of flew out of a portal and this one's chasing this one. Oh goodness, hold on one second again. Okay, I'm back again. So maybe this overall thing is chasing this thing and firing at it. I don't know. This starts to break apart, this whole thing. So we're going to look at this with some enhancements so you can better see what I'm talking about. Here again, I think that might be some kind of portal. Again, we got all this disturbed, chaotic, staccato cloud activity going on. We have a darker shadow shape with a straight edge happening here at B.1. So I do think this is some type of bigger craft. And at C.1, this is a pointed ellipse. And, you know, just starts to get a little bit broken apart here. So we're going to look at that with a little more enhancement and a little closer up. So C.2, here's that pointed ellipse-like shape happening. I'm not sure what this thing is doing across the top. Looks like there's some disturbed activity here of cloaking material. So let's look with some enhancement. And it looks like we have a couple of pieces hiding in there, a triangular form here, and something back in here. So exactly what's going on I can't tell you, but I can tell you that this is starting to have mass to it behind it. Now, are they on the same team, so to speak, or is this one chasing this one? I don't know. See what you think, though. All right, this gets interesting, too. We're going to look east now at more strange cloud activity. So we've got this overall monster here at A. It just looks big and like something is definitely going on in here. We have little bits and pieces poking out. Looks like pieces that are, you know, coming out of the cloak. This is a little strange form as well. Then B, we start to see a triangular form here, perfect triangle, other little triangles happening off back here. And then look at this. This springs off in a whole different direction while this goes down or is, you know, more or less level. But see, there looks like this whole thing is an object too, perhaps. So we're going to look with an enhancement and see what we see. And 8.1, look at this. This looks like some type of structures popping up out of this overall cloaking craft, I'm going to call it. Look at, we got a bright white point popping out. When it's crystalline like that, that tells me there's something cloaking back up in here. This even looks like we're starting to see some structural elements, but cloaked. Then we have B.1. You just see that equilateral triangle better. You know, it looks like some other shape happening here and down here. And then we get a better look at this stuff jetting off. Not sure what that is. And C.1, we start to see that darker shadowy shape again. There's just a lot of activity happening there in that scene as well. And speaking of that, it continues here. So left-hand side's the original, will jump to the right-hand side. And look at this. I mean, this is just an overall strange grouping. You know, you've got some kind of weird pointed elliptical chunky thing happening here that looks like it's has its own little jet stream trail coming out the back. And then this is on angle, and this is level, you know, and then this is kind of pitching downward. So that tells me this whole little ensemble here is cloaking craft. And then we have D.1, where we get some whiter crystalline structure happening, and an E.1 as well. So let's look at this one more time. We're going to zoom in on that whole area. So here's that crystalline stuff happening, you know, that's definitely means something is going on in this overall assembly. And then when we look at 8.2, we have like a triangular form. You know, we see that little trail drifting off behind. Looks like something's cloaking back in here as well. So, you know, this is definitely one of those images, series of images to have a look at, you know, when you have a little more time on your own as well. All right, well, this is the photo of the week and the close of the show. This is a Rainbow Eucalyptus tree in Miami, Florida. Beautiful bark on this thing if you've never seen one in person. Just really glorious, especially after a fresh rain. The colors just really pop out. Beautiful greens and violets and plums. It's just truly amazing. I do cover some of the properties and healing properties of this tree in a former show, but I can't remember the name at the moment, so you might have to like scroll through a lot of the shows to find it. But anyway, I think it was one of the earlier shows at the very end. I go into detail on how high it grows and all of that good stuff. So anyway, thank you for standing by here a while. I wish you a beautiful wrap up to the weekend if you're still in it. And if you've already started your week off, I hope you continue on a beautiful and happy path with it. I hope that's how it started for you. And just remember, as always, I wish all of you tremendous peace and love. Lavender Sky Panther, bye.